Yes. Yeah.
But like the comparison, like with me and some of the other guys.
So that'd be something neat to see, the Harris Centers
The Pirates playing in Williams.
Welcome back to the third period. This period is being the 4th of July again is right around the corner. Favorite backyard and or picnic games? Because there's always games to be played at picnics.
I think we let Brad lead off since he's the guest.
Okay. I would have to say my favorite is obviously wiffle ball. I don't think it gets any better than wiffle ball. Yes, you have to have a few people, but I feel like if you have 2 people on each team, you can make it work, right? Ghost runners and all that.
Ghost runners. It's been a while for me on that one.
So my son and I actually play baseball in his bedroom because we don't have anywhere to go outside because A, it's hot, and B, we live in an apartment. But we play baseball in his bedroom with like a little squishy ball, and he has a little bat that we play with. And we figured out the base runner thing that they advance 1 base for every base that the batter advances. And if you have more people, then you just move up the base. You move up so if you have, say you have 2 people, runner on first, runner gets to third, you have runners on the corners, and then you say, okay, runner on third goes into hit, and then you just move the runner over to third. Like, I don't know why we didn't think of this when we were kids, right? Because then it was always like, ghost runner on third. No, that ghost runner's out. No, he's safe because ghost runners can't get out. It's like, no, you just like, if you get them out at home before the runner gets to first, he's out. Your ghost runners move the same speed as your base runners. I don't know why it was so difficult as kids, but
because it's kids. Because we're kids.
When we played at David's parents' house, we would mark off like what was a single, what was a double, a triple, and then
over the line, yeah.
And then anything past the shed was a home run, and we hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah. My buddy used to ask me about playing over the line. I'm like, I never played over the line. We always ran the bases. Like, we didn't want to run bases, so we just made lines, like you said. And we would do that a lot in baseball practice too. My coach would put a bucket just to the left of second base. He'd say anything to the left of the bucket isn't out because he'd want us to hit it to the opposite field. He's like, so then you have to hit to the right of the bucket and then get it over whatever lines. But anyway.
No, wiffle ball is probably my favorite too. Just because when you do get people involved, it ends up being a lot of fun. And it can be a lot of fun when people are varying degrees of sobriety too.
No.
Well, the thing that's funny to me about wiffle ball is that like people are always like, "Oh no, I'm not any good. I'm not going to play." But then you get them in to come play, and like it doesn't matter. It's like just swing the bat. I'll throw the ball to the bat. You hit it, and then you just run the bases. It's fun. Yeah, it's a good time. And if you don't want to run the bases, then like we said, you play over the line, and that's equally as fun. So, yeah, I think you get a lot of people of varying skill levels to play, and it's a good time.
Oh yeah, always a good time.
What's yours, David?
I don't know. I played a couple.
Leaping fireworks is not one of them.
Oh, come on.
We call those interactive fireworks.
No, it's a sad part. That was always interesting. I played bocce ball.
Okay.
Not sure if you played that one at all.
I'm Italian. I know what bocce ball is.
Well, I didn't know if you played it or not. Knowing what it is and playing it are two different things. I actually have a set downstairs. And cornhole.
The classic cornhole. Let's become like America's picnic game.
Well, my dad.
And I'd say like within the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad actually built a set. He had me make up a family logo for them, and that's what he used. Nice. It actually turned out they turned out better than I expected. But no, with
cornhole can get. Go ahead, David.
Well, I was going to say cornhole can get fun when you have a few beverages in you.
Oh, see, I was going to say cornhole can get really competitive.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it where fights almost started because of it.
Jesus. I've never seen it like that, but okay.
Well,
I've never seen it at that level, but it. Yeah, I've seen where there's debate about somebody maybe kicking the what do they call that? The board?
Oh yeah, kicking the board to let it go in.
To get it to go in, or to get it to just barely miss. Yeah, I've seen that, but never fights.
And that's a game where, and I think that's the hallmark of a good picnic game, is you don't need a lot of skill to play it. I mean, obviously we know based on ESPN the Ocho that
not even the Ocho, man. ESPN runs that.
there's professional cornhole.
Yeah.
But if you're like at a Sunday picnic, you don't need a lot of skill to play like Aunt Judy, who just left church with a salad bowl, to come to the picnic.
It's like bowling. It's one of those things where if you're really good, at it, it's borderline impressive. But it's also to the point where you can play with a drink in your hand and you're fine.
Yeah, I actually seen, and my dad actually, I might be able to talk him into building an extension onto the cornhole boards he just made, where cup holders come out as part of the stand. I mean, why not? It's perfect.
Unless it gets hit with a beanbag.
See then it becomes a target. Yeah. and no offense, knowing members of your family, David, it'll become a target.
Is that like hitting the water bottle in hockey?
Yes.
No, those.
You guys took my two favorites, so I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing.
Did you say horseshoes? Horseshoes were briefly mentioned. That's another one of my favorites. I've got a brother-in-law who brings a horseshoe set with him everywhere he goes. We typically play at our family reunions. We were actually at one this last weekend. We didn't play then. This is the first time in a while we haven't done it. But that is fun, especially if you spend a weekend playing. You get pretty good by the end, and then it's really competitive and it's really fun. Because at first,
David and I were the worst horseshoe team ever.
Oh, really? Because I feel like every time we would play, it's like we get started and we're all like, "This is such a stupid game." We just throw the horseshoes, whatever. We all miss. The games take an hour, but then by the end of the weekend, like a game is done in like 20 minutes because we're all ringing them, and then it's like everything is just money because we figured out the distance, we figured out the strength on everything, the perfect flip, and they go really fast. But it's a ton of fun. I love
that. Can be translated over to cornhole too. I mean, once you get the distance and the elevation and whether you want to do a flop shot or a slide.
Jason's got all the technical terms down.
I've played with really competitive people at picnics, unfortunately.
Again, surprised no fights have started. I mean,
but
yeah, I don't know. What about do you guys ever play lawn darts?
I've heard of them, but I've never played them.
I have.
I've never played them. And I've heard of them.
They weren't like the modern lawn darts that are just weighted with like a sand bag at the bottom. No.
They were
up
darts.
Until the 2000s. My parents had the old school lawn darts, and with the metal tip. Brad, I kid you not. I can remember my cousin and I throwing them up in the air as kids and trying to catch them.
So describe this metal tip to me, because we had lawn darts growing up. I didn't know what they were at the time. I figured it out when I got older, where it was like a plastic cup, but it had, I'm sure it was a metal weight in the bottom of it, right? Like, is that what it was, or was it actually like a point on yours?
It was a point.
It was a point, and I'm sending you a link for a picture of what I'm talking about.
It's literally like how you throw the darts at a dartboard, but bigger. All it was.
I gotta take a look at this.
Yeah, if you want to throw it up on the screen, go ahead. I don't care. That's what my parents had.
Yeah. There's the reaction I was waiting for. That's the reaction I was waiting for.
I'll get that and I'll send it up there, because that is fantastic. That is nothing. That is far more dangerous than.
But more fun.
Who thought this was a good idea?
Well, so there's a Jeff Foxworthy bit about that, right? There's a Jeff Foxworthy bit about that.
I think there was.
And I assumed that it was like the ones that I had. I was like, oh yeah, that's dangerous. They'll smack you in the head, knock you out. Like, no, these will impale you.
Yeah.
And that's what my cousin and I were trying to catch in the backyard.
How'd that go?
Well, I mean, he's worked for Apple and Google in the last 10 years, so I think we're okay.
Well, I mean, you can type with 4 fingers.
No, he was in design and stuff of that nature. He was in some high level stuff. But I can definitely tell you we were like 12 and 9 trying to catch lawn darts. So
well, in our valley, I mean, that's kind of expected to be able to
reminds me
something like that.
You guys ever see Grown Ups?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When they shoot the arrow straight up in the air.
I was just thinking that too. I
love at the end when it turns into Pandalirium. I did that just for you.
Appreciate that.
That's a deep Foxworthy cut.
That's a deep Foxworthy cut, man.
I haven't heard any of his jokes in ages.
That's a good one.
But I think we're done with backyard games. Once you go to lawn darts, you can't go back. So,
well, horseshoes are almost just as bad as if you do a miss throw and it goes around somebody's ankle. Or
who has scrawny enough ankles that it's going around their ankles?
So it's not so much that as it is that like you get them when they roll. Sometimes they kind of skip. There's no getting out of the way because it's like then you've got a magnet in your leg and it'll just hit your shin and just
that hurts. And you're down.
That hurts really bad. If you happen to be the one who's in the way of that.
I've had a fair share of that myself, and that will drop you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, no, Jason, you definitely got the cake on that with the lawn darts. That's definitely something.
Hey, I'm alive. We're alive. We can talk about it. You do stupid things as a kid. It blew my mind when I was in high school and I read that those kind of lawn darts were banned. And I'm like, well, that makes sense.
But why are they banned? But why? What's wrong with them?
Because little Jimmy down the street got stuck in the lawn when one landed in his foot. That's why.
Oh, that went dark.
You know it happened. You know it happened at least.
Oh, absolutely,
a dozen times,
or something worse. That
Yeah.
Uncle Bill tried to catch one, and it went right through his beer in his hand.
Hey, I caught it with my beer. It's also your hand too, buddy.
Don't pull it out. Yeah. Okay. We need to call this. It's going downhill.
Too late. Well, if we're gonna call it, that'd be the end of this third.
Brad, why don't you hit us with some plugs?
All right. So check out the Baseball Together podcast. We drop the big show every Tuesday morning. First thing, it's at midnight Pacific time, so that would be about 3:00 a.m. Your guys' time on the East Coast. So when you wake up Tuesday morning, we have the Baseball Together podcast every single Tuesday. During the season, we're doing a live every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Just a quick half-hour show. We go through a couple of current events, then we highlight some of the weekend series and games that you want to watch, highlight the national games and why you should. This weekend, it was why you shouldn't watch the Tigers and Diamondbacks because they're both terrible. That's why. We also have every month, Jason is the co-host of the Philly Baseball Together podcast, and I am a co-host of the Seattle Baseball Together podcast. You can see it in the background there if you're watching on YouTube. We got a lot of stuff going on. We also do a highlight show that drops every Sunday now during the season. That's just the highlights of the big show, the main segment every week, whether it's our emoji tiers, which is basically our power rankings, or the interview that we do. Like this last week, I said we'd talk to David Sampson. That will go out on Sunday. So, yeah, there you go. All that fun stuff.
So some more plugs here. You can find our friend Matt. I mentioned him earlier on the A Show with his co-host Chris Decker. It's a wrestling podcast where the two of them and a guest draft and book the best wrestling show within the parameters of each show given. They're currently wrapping up this current season. They're doing the finals, and you can find that on CKCC Radio and wherever else you get your podcasts. With that, thank you for joining us for episode 48 of the Not Another Sports Podcast. Brad, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming on, taking part in the taste test and the ridiculous discussions we've had tonight.
No problem.
In the description of every episode, you can find our Linktree link, and they'll take you to our Facebook page, our Anchor page, or all of our social media sites, and our creator page where you can buy Another Sports Podcast merch. You can find us online for streaming or download at Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and wherever else you get your podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. With that, we will talk with you next time.
Have a good one.